Good evening and welcome to Sky Night. The new moon is in Leo with 0% illumination. It rises and sets with the sun, so the sky stays at its darkest all night. Please enable captions in your preferred language to view local observing cities and times. Join us for a guided tour of tonight's whole sky. We start the evening with the moon near Regulus high in the southern sky, followed by Venus halfway up the south and Vega almost straight overhead. While looking up, we also spot the Ring Nebula near Vega and Altair high in the southern sky. As the night deepens, we watch for Alpha Capricornids meteors halfway up the south and Mars near the eastern horizon, before the southern Delta Aquariids meteors appear. Toward morning, the Andromeda Galaxy hangs almost straight overhead, while Saturn sits halfway up the south. We then look high in the northern sky for the double cluster and keep Algol, the California Nebula, and Merfolk almost straight overhead in view, finishing with Perseids meteors high in the north. The moon passes within about half a degree of the bright star Regulus today. This is the day of the eclipse, so the moon is new and stays lost in the sun's glare. The pair simply follows the sun down, setting at 7:57 in the evening in Los Angeles, 8:11 in the evening in New York, and 8:38 in the evening in London. Halfway up the southern sky, you cannot miss Venus, a dazzling silver-white point that outshines every star and is near its greatest elongation. Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system, with a surface near 465 degrees Celsius, hotter than Mercury, even though Venus lies farther from the sun, because its thick carbon dioxide atmosphere traps heat in a runaway greenhouse effect. The last good view before the planet sets comes at about 8:10 in the evening in Los Angeles, 8:30 in the evening in New York, and 9:10 in the evening in London. Find Vega, the blue-white star of Lyra and one corner of the summer triangle, shining almost straight overhead on summer nights. This star reaches its highest point around 10:10 in the evening in Los Angeles, New York, and London, and from London, it never sets tonight. Vega is the third brightest star visible from the northern celestial hemisphere. Together with Deneb and Altair, it forms the distinctive asterism known as the Summer Triangle, while visible in the sky during the summer months. This night's deep sky object is the Ring Nebula, a pale ellipse of light hanging just below brilliant Vega. Aim a telescope midway between the two southern stars of the little parallelogram of Lyra to see it. The nebula is best placed around 10:25 in the evening in Los Angeles, New York, and London. The Ring Nebula is often described as the most famous planetary nebula of all, and it has long been one of the best-loved and most photographed targets among amateur astronomers worldwide. Spot Altair, the bright heart of Aquila, as the low corner of the summer triangle flanked by two fainter stars high in the southern sky. Around 11:20 in the evening, this star culminates in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Altair was one of the first stars for which the shape of the disk was directly measured using optical interferometry. This confirmed theoretical predictions about rapidly rotating stars. The Alpha Capricornids meteors are active now, though fading 13 days past their peak. Look halfway up the southern sky and let your eyes wander a bit off the radiant in Capricornus for the longest trails. The radiant reaches its highest point around 12 midnight in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Mars is rising from the eastern horizon as an orange-red point in Gemini. In Los Angeles, the planet rises at 2:19 in the morning, while New York and London follow at 2:03 in the morning and 1:23 in the morning respectively. The Valles Marineris Canyon system on Mars is one of the largest in the solar system, stretching over 4,000 kilometers long and reaching depths of up to 7 kilometers in some areas. The crossings of Phobos and Deimos across Mars follow. Phobos makes its first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars for a duration of 53 minutes, occurring between 6:34 in the morning and 7:27 in the morning in Los Angeles, between 9:34 in the morning and 10:27 in the morning in New York, and between 2:34 in the afternoon and 3:27 in the afternoon in London, with Mars above the horizon in all these locations. The next Phobos crossing of the apparent disk of Mars lasts 54 minutes, taking place between 2:13 in the afternoon and 3:07 in the afternoon in Los Angeles, where Mars is above the horizon, while in New York and London Mars is below the horizon. Deimos makes its first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars for a duration of 77 minutes, occurring between 5:07 in the morning and 6:24 in the morning in London, where Mars is above the horizon, while in Los Angeles and New York Mars is below the horizon. The next Phobos crossing of the apparent disk of Mars lasts 53 minutes, taking place between 5:53 in the morning and 6:46 in the morning in London, where Mars is above the horizon, while in Los Angeles and New York Mars is below the horizon. The southern delta Aquariids meteors are active now, 13 days past their peak. Look halfway up the southern sky and let your eyes wander a bit off the radiant in Aquarius for the longest trails. Around 2:10 in the morning, the radiant culminates in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Hop from the corner of the Great Square of Pegasus along two stars to find the Andromeda Galaxy, a neighboring spiral galaxy more than 2 million light-years away, appearing as a faint oval smudge almost straight overhead. The galaxy reaches its highest point around 4:15 in the morning in Los Angeles, New York, and London, and from London, it never sets to night. Andromeda was first recorded by Persian astronomers around the year 964 CE, though ancient observers had observed it long before, often mistaking it for a comet or a nebulous star. Look halfway up the southern sky for Saturn, a steady, unblinking golden point in Pisces that is fainter than Jupiter but has a calm, yellow glow. The planet is best placed around 4:25 in the morning in Los Angeles, New York, and London. The particles comprising Saturn's rings range from tiny dust grains to house-sized boulders, creating a complex system that is constantly being shaped by gravitational interactions and collisions. The double cluster is a pair of rich star cities set beside the Milky Way. Look for a hazy patch between Perseus and the W of Cassiopeia, best seen in binoculars. The cluster culminates around 5 in the morning in London and 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles and New York, and it never sets to night in any of the three. NGC 869 and NGC 884 are true stellar siblings. Both are only about 13 million years old and are thought to have formed from the same giant cloud of gas and dust. Find Algol, an eclipsing star that dims every couple of nights, located in Perseus below the W of Cassiopeia. This star reaches its highest point around 5 in the morning in London and 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles and New York, and from London, it never sets to night. A debated 2013 study argued that the ancient Egyptian Cairo calendar, written around 1200 BC, secretly encodes Algol's period in its patterns of lucky and unlucky days, which, if true, would make it the oldest known record of a variable star. This night's deep sky object is the California Nebula, a long red cloud shaped like the state of California. Find Xi Persei below Merfak, the star lighting the cloud, and use a telescope with a hydrogen beta filter to see it. The nebula is best placed around 5 in the morning in London and 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles and New York. The star that lights it, Xi Persei, does not belong there either. It is a runaway thrown out of its birthplace that happens to be crossing the cloud right now. In catalogs, it is listed as NGC 1000 for 199. Follow the W of Cassiopeia, extended toward Perseus, to find Merfak, one of the 50 brightest stars of the whole night sky. This star reaches its highest point around 5 in the morning in London and 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles and New York, and from New York and London, it never sets to night. Merfolk is one of the few bright stars that can be observed almost at the center of a clearly naked-eye visible star cluster. This makes this part of the sky a particularly attractive target for beginning observers with binoculars. The Perseids meteors are at their peak tonight. Look high in the northern sky and let your eyes wander a bit off the radiant in Perseus for the longest trails. The radiant culminates around 5 in the morning in London and 5:35 in the morning in Los Angeles and New York, and it never sets tonight in any of the three. The total solar eclipse happens today, with totality visible only in Greenland, Iceland, and parts of Spain, while a partial phase stretches across Europe and North America, and you must use certified eclipse glasses for safety. We have already published our full eclipse guide, which covers the cloud outlook for observing sites, the sun's current activity, and hour-by-hour local times for each city. You can find the link in the description under this film. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please subscribe to stay updated, and we wish you clear skies and happy stargazing.